Bradshaw from Cruiser Customizing.
Gregory Beck, Tucker Distributing.
Today on Wednesday with Greg, we're going to be walking around this Vstar 650 that we'll be giving away as the gift of motorcycling. Now, about 2 weeks ago, we purchased this motorcycle for $1,500. A great steal if you're looking to find a used bike on the used market. Today we're going to do basically the walk around you'd want to do on any motorcycle that you pick up on the used market, just to make sure everything's in functioning order.
One of the first things I want to look at is the tire, the front tire. I'm going to look at the sidewall to make sure there's not a lot of cracking. I'm going to look at the surface to make sure it's wearing in a smooth fashion. And that'll give me an indicator if the suspension's worn out or if it's been ran with low pressure. The next thing I'm going to look at, or actually listen to, is the wheel, because this is a spoke wheel. Listen. You hear that ringing? That's an indication that the spokes are tight. And find maybe a spoke that's loose will be a dull sound. Then I go to the other side, and with the aid of a flashlight, I'm going to take a look at the disc brake condition, the rotor condition, and the pads. Yeah, but as you can see here, there's plenty of pad life left. I'd say about 60%. While we're here in this area, I'm going to look at the caliper and make sure it's snug. And also, I'm going to look for moisture that would indicate maybe a leaking fork seal or a banjo bolt or nut that's loose. This one looks pretty good.
Moving farther up on the motorcycle, a couple key things we're going to take a look at are going to be the clutch. This clutch doesn't have much free play at all, so we're going to make some adjustments down here as well as up here at the lever to get that optimum friction zone and clutch play. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the fluid level inside the master cylinder. What color is it? If it's not clear, then it's got oxidation in it and it needs to be flushed. This one here is turning a yellowish color, so we're definitely going to need to bleed this system.
And it looks like it's had a leak before because a lot of the protective coating on the aluminum is worn off. That generally means that at one time this had a leaking gasket up here and was ridden with a leaking gasket.
Stay tuned for one of our tip of the weeks where we chrome out these bars and you're going to see how you can cover up an ugly eyesore like that. Moving on to the front suspension, we're going to go ahead and give it a test. Either ride it down the road or in the driveway. We're going to check the suspension to make sure everything functions properly without bottoming out.
And while we're at that, we're also going to twist the forks to see if we can feel the smoothness in the steering head we want. We don't want any clunking or sloppiness.
Next, we're going to go ahead and check the throttle and make sure it returns properly so you don't get stuck with an open throttle while riding down the road.
Yeah, not good. Working our way back on each side of the motorcycle. First, I'm going to look on my side where there's the air cleaner. I'm going to see if there's possibly oil in it. That would indicate that somebody overfilled the engine or they revved it high for a long time.
On this side over here, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at where the carburetor is. Over here at the carburetors, you can see that this one over here is really clean. Whereas over on this side, if we swipe a finger, we can see that it's dirty, grimy, and nasty. This means that there's probably a slight leak up there at the top that can be fixed simply by replacing the gasket.
While we're on this side again, I'm going to look at the exhaust flange area to make sure that there's no leaks, check for the bolts to make sure they're tight, and then I'll probably work my way back to any joint or muffler junction that might be on that particular bike to make sure that the hanger and everything is snug, because a pipe falling off or making a lot of extra noise is going to hurt the performance of the motorcycle and it's not safe.
Now over here on this side, if this was a chain drive or a belt drive, you'd go ahead and check that. In this case, it's shaft driven, so we're just going to make sure that there's no leaks or excess vibration in the drive shaft.
You remember the test we did in the front where we were looking at the tire and then the spokes? We're going to do that again. That thud means there's the possible problem here. So Kyle, let's move the back wheel and see what we can find. Yeah, as we suspected, this wheel has never been maintained. The spokes have never been checked, so they've bedded in and they've stretched and now they're dangerously loose. This is something you need to attend to before you ride the motorcycle. On our walk around, let's take a look at the lights and make sure everything functions. We got the left rear, we got the right rear turn signal, got the brake light, the running light, and Kyle, if you'll inspect the headlight.
Yep, definitely running.
Yeah, that stuff's good to go.
And there you have it. That's pretty much all the things you're going to want to take a look at while doing either an inspection on a motorcycle you're going to purchase or an inspection on a motorcycle you haven't ridden in a long time.
Or, you know, if you rent a bike, I do the same walk around. It's your butt in the saddle.
Absolutely.